yes, Terrifier, the character we all know and love, but the movies I've never seen. And typically I don't like creating characters when I don't 100% know the reference, just because I like to know their backstories, but I'm gonna be honest, I'm not really much of a gore person. So before I get into it, here's the deal. I have been very obsessed with clay lately. I have an absolutely, hopefully epic video coming up at the end of this month. And I made a recent discovery that apparently I can sculpt at least a little bit. Now, should this prosthetic be made off of your face? I'm going to say probably. I am not going to sit here and instruct you to put foam clay directly onto your skin, because it's not intended for that. Am I gonna do it in this video? I am. Do I wanna hear about it? No. Knowing that this should have been made off of my face, I put a layer of liquid latex down onto my skin just to create a little bit of a barrier between my skin and the foam. Is it gonna hurt me? Probably not, but you know, the probably is what gets me. I also added a thin layer of Prosade on top of that just to make it stickier. Liquid latex is already sticky, but I decided to start with both of my cheeks first. You're also gonna see a lot of crazy faces happening during this video because I needed to make them to figure out where I was at. I flattened out a giant piece of clay and laid it over my forehead, doing my very best to smooth it out and then also create wrinkles. By the way, this is my first time doing something like this, at least directly on my face in the mirror, so. I added a worm of clay to create his cowl since we are not actually putting it on with the fabric, so I was making like an illusion of like the lip of the fabric in that area. For my nose, I was very tempted to get out scar wax because that's how I would do it normally, but then I was like, you know what, we've done so much with the clay at this point, just run it. I also decided I needed to elongate my face a little bit and add a chin, or else I was looking a little bit like Jack Frost. To attempt to get a little bit more of a blend, again, I wasn't sure how this was gonna turn out because my first time doing something like this, I added liquid latex to the edges of the clay. We will come back to that later. I was like, you know what? I need a break from this face. I've been looking at it for way too long. I'm gonna move on to the body because I know the body will turn out okay. And I was fearing for my face. For the body, I started out with a layer of Yeti, and then of course began to do some of the shading using some light gray eyeshadows, gradually getting darker as I went along. I shaded around the bands of my neck and then also created where the top collar was going to go. Once I established where the top of the collar was going to be, I then started to shade where the ruffles were going to go. Of course, I started out with a lighter gray eyeshadow and then gradually got darker. Just in case I messed up, it was gonna be easier to do and also easier to blend in general. Still using the gray eyeshadow, I added shading to the white areas of the bodysuit. I don't know how else to explain that. I don't typically like doing characters that I don't 100% know their backstory, but I was just at Universal's Halloween Horror Nights, and one of the main things that they have this year is Terrifier. And Art the Clown is walking around the park. And I also did go through the Terrifier haunted house, by the way. I was concerned about the gore going through because again, I'm not a huge gore lover. But the reason I decided I wanted to do this character is because I really like Art the Clown's mannerism. I like that he is still a clown regardless of his terrors, shall we say. He still has this like funniness about him. And in the house at one point he's doing these like horrific things and it goes ta-da! And I just think that's so cute. Is it a little crazy? Yeah, but I think it's, I'm like, ah, Art. You know, it's not good about the bleach thing, but like the ta-da was so cute. So ultimately, seeing the Terrifier haunted house and experiencing his mannerisms in person were what inspired me to create this character, as popular as it has been for all these years. The clay was pretty dry and I was like, all right, I guess I'm going back to my face. Time to figure this out. I added a light layer of foundation to the clay. Do I regret this? Yeah, I think I do. In hindsight, I should have just left it white. Maybe not, maybe it worked out, I don't know. Of course, I did my entire face in a layer of a Yeti. and then went in and just started shading galore using gray eyeshadow. Now back to what I was saying earlier about the liquid latex on the edges. I didn't put the liquid latex on the edges towards my mouth because I was thinking that maybe it would lift. In hindsight, I would have added the liquid latex edge on that inside part of my face, because then without connecting the edge, I did have like an awkward, like I had to kind of push the body paint underneath a little bit. So there might have been a little bit of a skin gap there. Point is, yeah, I would put liquid latex around the edges of all of this. Of course, I added in his eye details. His eyebrows were freaking me out because I was like, oh my God, where do I put them? Loved putting the dot on his nose for some reason. Big fan. Time for the teeth. If you are using alcohol-based makeup on your teeth, you're going to want to make sure that they are completely, not if, that's what you should be using, unless you're using like a teeth stain, but like a makeup teeth stain. Make sure you know what you're putting on your teeth, but my point is, you're going to want to make sure that your teeth are completely dry when you're applying the product. Then you're going to want to apply the product, let that dry, and you should be good to go. And you can just brush your teeth and it comes right off. And of course, my little paper top hat. And don't you think for a second that I didn't go out and get those sunflower sunglasses, because I absolutely did. If you enjoy Halloween season, please make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and possibly share it. It helps out the channel a lot, and I super appreciate it. As random as this is, I wanted to memorialize this video as also the very first video I was on an insulin pump. And my sugar is perfect!